So welcome everybody. I'm going to put on a few pictures. I want to show you just some images. And to start with the image of the embryo surrounded by what will be the placenta. You might recognize this picture. You can see it in many ancient photo paintings. You can see it even in rugs. And this is the moment where the embryo is surrounded by the endometrial mana, I will call it, the layer that's laid down every month by a woman to be able to feed and house and interact with a growing baby. And at this moment, you see beautifully how the cell, these are all the cells of the embryo, and these, I think what they're showing here is you see the outer red ring and the outer blue ring. Well, those are of the mother, and these trees that are growing into this red substance are cells of the embryo. And the red substance is sort of like a milkshake, like a milkshake of fluids and nutrients and blood, from which the embryo chooses and pulls in and filters in what it needs. And you see here the inner circulation brings these substances through a few more layers of membranes and brings them into the actual growing embryo. And this is where you are today to start. Eventually we grow so quickly and so amazingly that we grow out of this tiny space of the endometrium, and we grow out, but the placenta stays behind as a satellite. And we grow out and we stay connected through the umbilical cord. And eventually we get born before the umbilical cord, and we leave this nutritious space, is actively engaging with the nutrients around us behind. It is no longer needed. We start a new life. I'll show you two other images that let's see if I can find my share. This one today, I don't think I showed you this one. If you've ever heard that an embryo starts out as a pancake of 2 layers and then a third layer slides in, this is where we are here. We have 2 fluid sacs, the amnion and the yolk, and in between where they touch, that activity creates the embryo. At this point, it's flat. Eventually, it folds around. Eventually, in that folding, the amnion pulls around and turns this flat pancake embryo into a 3-dimensional form and into flexion and extension. And the yolk pulls in the front. So this is the connection today. So you can see it when I later say the yolk is pulling in the front. this yellow yolk sac pulls in, and it actually creates the digestive tube, and it creates the membranes around the digestive tube that become very important for embryonic breathing. Here you can see that this tube goes eventually mouth to anus, and eventually this yolk sac is completed, and it sends off also a satellite out at the end, out from your center, and it leaves your center behind, and the yolk sac with a tiny taste of it goes off yonder into the amnion. Another beautiful embryonic moment. And the place that we're really talking about we are talking about breathing through this. I will pull this up. This is not good. Let's see. So in the last few classes, we spoke more about the shapes of these membranes that surround the organs. So just for a moment, and I will say this later, your organs will breathe in this sac. And there's two sacs. One is all around the outside of the wall of your body, and one has many layers inside. And one of the beautiful, crazy things that happens is that for a moment the organs come out, and as they come in, they create a third sac. And here we are. This green is the lesser omentum, which Bonnie talks about, and the Chinese talk about breathing through into this omental sac and reclaiming. I think this process is about reclaiming the continuation of the embryological organs sacs and allowing flow through, because in the embryo we are breathing the ocean again, or still. Okay. Let me take a look at you all. Let's see the gallery here. So, hi everybody. How are y'all doing? Thank you for coming. Laura. So it seems like, Anna, there are a bunch of people signing up right now that have been in the inside but might not know that this is still the same Zoom address. So I don't know what to do about that, but this is the same address for next week and the final week.
I just want you to know I tried the address that I had in my calendar. I put it in there, and it didn't work. So I had to go to the website to find it again.
No. Oh, no. Well, so great. We have some fun things to figure out for next time, so no one is excluded. Let's continue. So hello to all those lost out there in Zoom land. And Oh, good. Thank you, Myra. So if you're watching on replay, we welcome you right now into the fold. Hi, Myra. So this is a good moment to lay down on your back and just let the skin of your body touch the earth and let yourself just breathe quite easily and normal. Just, yeah, you can half lay, you can stay sitting, you can lay down, but we've been sitting up to now. So this gives you an opportunity to go to a resting state, and to allow first the fabric of your skin to relate to the earth and to the air around you. And just notice the slight expansion and contraction with your breath, even through the organs, even through the torso. And so if you were an embryo, you would be receiving most of the nutrition and the oxygen that your little body needs actually through the placenta, in through the navel, into your inner fluids, your inner blood. You might even go back to the time where you were surrounded by this nutritious corona, this nutritious crown around you. And eventually you also will be swallowing and releasing amniotic fluid through your mouth and your organs and your anus so that they stay hydrated and they continuously get flow through to receive new information from the amnion, which is constantly changing to adapt to your new age in utero. And you're having the fluids inside your body between the membranes of your organs also move and flow. So I can tell you that in the embryonic breath, there is an expansion of this sac around the lungs and through the diaphragm into the abdomen. There is an expansion of these sacs, the perineal sac and the omental sacs, and a release. And you might just put your hands on your body and just kindly touch yourself where it feels right to touch yourself now, in a way that the membranes can slide, the momentum can move, and the organs can be free to move within these layers. And you might some of you might want to allow yourself to just wiggle a little like babies. They don't usually, even when they're sleeping, lie completely still. They have a little, just a response to their inner move flow and a response to the outer world. And this is a way I feel like when I'm meditating in a more straight up sitting meditation, I allow myself as a somatic person to engage secretly, I don't know why secretly, openly or secretly, in this delicious inner movement of flow. I keep it alive as I'm meditating in any meditation space. Okay, we're ready. Let your just enjoy the deliciousness of the fact that you exist in this world. You breathe air. And then start descending back in time into your own embryonic time, into the time where most of life existed in the oceans, where you were supported three-dimensionally all around by water, salt water. And start pulling in this silk thread, the silver thread, through your nostrils, and just start guiding, pulling, gently pulling the silk thread down with your breath between the lung halves, between the lungs. And from there, find the epiploic pathway, the pathway through the diaphragm into the lesser omentum. It is like you're directing the flow behind the liver, behind the stomach, slightly more on your right side, slightly more, but just find your own place. And from there, you can take your hands and just massage this, where the lesser omentum will be here. So it's below your diaphragm, under your liver, your stomach. It's in front of your small intestines, and it has a lot of fat and blood vessels and space. And this space connects through from your upper body above the diaphragm, from your mouth, nostrils, through your throat, all the way down. And enjoy that, or let yourself be surprised by that moment where you allow fluid to flow through this epiploic valve, and from there, let your breath continue to expand down into the lesser omentum. And from there, expand down into the lower abdomen. There is a moment where it's even the embryonic breath will end or disappear or expand, or you don't know where it goes. And in that moment, allow it to become what the Chinese say, that alchemy, where this breath turns into energy, into qi. So for those coming later, just hear my voice, rest, breathe, pull your breath in like a silver thread down through your nostrils, down through the epiploic valve behind the liver and stomach, into the center of your body, into the lesser omentum, and from there, let it continue its pathway, your personal pathway, to the dantian, to the lower dantian, to where this breath will be alchemized into qi. And from there, let it, the qi or the alchemy, let it just emanate from there, and know that it supports the blood entering into your bones as an embryo. It supports the marrow in your body. So if you don't know what to do at the end of an embryonic breath, don't worry. It is alchemized. The sacs will release again. The energy will be stored. It will be entered into the flow of the whole body. You don't need to track it. You don't need to know if it's an in-breath or an out-breath anymore. You're just staying in the fluid breath and letting your air bust just pop up when it does. Do not worry, do not judge, do not worry, do not judge. This is your life. This is an opportunity to release, to transform. It is okay to come up out of the water. It is a natural process. The deeper you get, the deeper your transformations can be, the more you can awaken. You will not leave this place ever. It is in your history, your embryonic history. And this practice is just about reconnecting to what we already knew, to the flow we were always connected to. It's okay to get lost. It's okay not to track how you're breathing, just to stay in the state. To get lost, if it's an in breath or an out breath, you're supported all around from the ocean you were once part of and still part of, to the moment when the placenta was all around you, ravishingly transforming the nutrition coming from the mother's blood, filtered into your little body. You come from this breath comes from a time where there was abundance, where there's growth. And underneath that, we're connecting with this thread of breath through these fluid pockets back to a time when this alchemy of energy happened easily, successfully, because you are here now. You don't need to find it or search it. It is you. It is in all of you. And this breath continues. Before we start our gentle pathway out from the state, just allow yourself to know that you're not alone, that you have all around you, every animal, every person has this breath in them, accessible. Children, fish, maybe even trees. So I'm in the New England time here where we tap the maple sap. Allow your sap to move through your body, your limbs, your brain, your feet. And allow your lower dantian, your lower abdomen to support your marrow, and let the marrow call for breath, call for oxygen to your lungs. And let the blood surround all these balloons of air, these alveoli. Let them quickly gather around and pull out the oxygen, bring it back to your body, to the cells, through the heart. And allow yourself to start. You might touch yourself or stroke yourself or open your eyes, touch your skin again, feel your skin. It's nice to exist in that moment between this deep embryological breath and the world. Shift the balance slightly. Be gentle. I love how mama animals lick their babies to waken them up and to, so maybe do a little of that, little licking of your touch. So these are all sort of easy ways to breathe. To call your breath. And take another moment to just allow your mind to just select a few and notice what you notice, your process, notice your interest, what was interesting about this time of meditating today. It seems like many of you are still resting or transitioning. That's fine. You can stay in this space in between conscious and unconscious, between being in that embryonic state and being here with us. And those that are coming out far enough to want to perhaps share something first about this experience, and then after that, we can maybe discuss a few questions. I get to see, or you all get to see, the before and after pictures of our faces. That's nice. So if you're willing or interested in turning on your camera, it's nice to see faces in this last part. But it's your day, so do what you want. If someone wants to speak in Russian, you can speak in Russian, and Anna or Maria will translate. Yeah, they're ready. The quality today seems different from watching, from being with you. And I did want to leave more time for the actual breathing process.
I'd like to share something.
Okay.
For me, the interesting moment in today's practice was becoming aware of the amnion and how it fills the mouth, and that was a big switch. Really feeling this fluid, being suspended in a fluid environment, which I'm also swallowing, which is also completely inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that, it was a whole process, but really very nourishing and very organic, feeling this breathing as our birthright, as something that is really embedded in us as being here on planet Earth, and realization how much support we have from the inside, whether it's this internal breath or the fluids or the bone marrow, so many different layers of internal support that we can access at any point if we give ourselves time. And that was very, very empowering.
Ah, it's even nice to hear the words back.
This is Myra. I want to thank Sue for inviting me to be here today. I feel like I'm in recall of, as you say, what we know. And yet I'm feeling it in terms of being in the larger body that is the earth herself. And feeling like in this time of rapid change for the planetary being, that it's helpful for me today to feel embryonic within her larger body. We've been seeing all kinds of environmental phenomenon like rivers of water in the sky. And I love this image of feeling the tree of life, even within the womb, represented, filled with the nutrients that we need. This body is feeling very resonant with the idea of the satellites of the placenta and other parts of the body, and how much of all the gradient light I've been needing, feeling my body is searching for other forms of nourishment. The ordinary forms aren't working, and yet today in this time of embryonic breathing, I realized this is the nutrient dense environment that my body is yearning for. So I feel myself in a liminal space, that the expansion of these sacs are a part of the deeper connection this field of being a field needs and knows to be of its timing. And that this body with other bodies are changing to be a part of new futures rising. And we are receiving the nutrients needed. So in the way of opening to assimilate, receive, swim in these emergent energies, it feels so on point to be breathing in this way. When you describe the flattening and the expansion and all of this movement, the evidence of that is the belly button, everything that was outside flipping and becoming the inside, this inner outer movement. So my viscera is feeling touched, and it feels like the body through this exercise is giving me a pathway to pursue more deeply. And I am, yeah, I'm happy.
Oh, it's so lovely. And you're here the first time, so right? Yeah, welcome. Wonderful. I'm glad you found us. Hmm. Hmm. Thank you. Nastya Suslova, is it okay if I read yours out loud? I don't know how to hear from you. Guess you can read it in the chat. Yes, the timing of this, what was to be a one free introductory class, became very apparent that it was very, very important in this time to help find ways for people to feel connected deeply inside themselves, to try to, not to try to understand, but to try to stay in the body and stay in the self, to try to deal with these incomprehensible choices we have right now, and challenges to our livelihood and our safety, and the people dealing with hatred because they're Russian, people dealing with loss of life in the home if they're Ukraine, people in Afghanistan, and people, wars never end. I'm glad this is of help. I feel like this really is a lab thrown at a time that you all are. I feel like I'm learning so much, and I feel like it's a little. I mean, it's to be stepping up as a teacher and a sharer at this moment is quite intense, and so I'm glad that we're having more than one meeting, that I can show up differently each time, and that it can it can resonate and carry on in your bodies in the way it wants to. For others that were here the first time, or anyone, I'm distributing information along all the videos, and you can, and there's descriptions under the video, so you can watch any of the others, or I like to listen to some of them like radio now, like just kind of like instead of radio. Like, so I think it's time for anything, but also questions. Or time to look at people's faces, like Elvira. That's yeah.
Hi everyone. I wanted to say, Myra, is it, that was so beautiful and eloquently spoken. And I really felt, as I always do, like the connection with nature, and how that is inside me and inseparable, especially with embryonic work. And I'm here, I'm in the occupied nation of Hawaii. And I feel that the cultural pain so much here. It's actually hard to sit with. And at the same time, it's, you know, so glorious a place. And I was so lucky this week to be able to go diving, and I went far out by myself and dove deeply, and there were blue whales like within a quarter mile of me, and once you get far enough underwater you can hear them singing. And it was that experience today that I felt there was like not just the flow of this internal space, but like a hearing of the world from the womb, like singing, and this like timeless communication between the inner and the outer ecosystem. And I just wondered if that was anything that that resonated with other people, and in your experience, Christine, about somehow communication across the inner and the outer.
Does someone want to answer her? That would be nice.
I will. Thank you.
Perfect pair. I do think we went into, there we go. We just went into I allowed myself to bring that connection into the outer world. But I have to say, this is me teaching something very, very sacred in a lot of ways, and very much only put into the world by Bonnie Vandridge Cohen. And so I, as a teacher and as a follower, I just have to reveal that part of me is treading into unsanctioned waters, and I do not know how Bonnie feels about this, but I am expanding the support that I need and that I see as I'm teaching for this practice to get more. I'm filling it out with all my knowledge of body mind centering, somatic body, embryology. And maybe I'm stepping on toes, but I'm Myra, it's becoming coherent. It's becoming a coherent, wider practice. So I feel like with the opportunity for me here is to give this practice an environment, give it the support of all the embryology, of all the other systems, and what I bring to the work in somatic body, and that is a much more radical sense of we are together as a group as we're learning. We are like cells as embryos, cells and embryos, which are making decisions on their own easily and constantly and in flow, and that you cannot take an individual out and just do individual embryological breathing so yes, when I teach, you're in a laboratory when I teach. and your resonance is building the material because you're being honest in your body and your responses in your engagement. That's how I do somatic body work and continue the lineage of body mind centering. So
Thank you for that, Christine. I appreciate you putting out there that this is unsanctioned territory vis-a-vis the work that you're continuing, that you're exploring in. And yet, there's so much we understand now about the way in which, of course, the body knows, but that in healing, it goes back to the order in which we developed in utero, it seems, given its own devices. Everything that came online in terms of viscera and terrains and in that order. And the link I'm just making here is the sacred bonds with the earth that are being restored. They exist. The body is designed to track it all through neuroception and beyond. We have this physical body, but we have a subtle body too. And when the earth is changing as rapidly as it is, taking into account that is impacting us.
I love that you're putting us as actors, our body as actors in the restoration of this natural world and into, yes, Sue, and into restoration of good relations and real communication. So thank you all. What a great way to end. Love. Do it anytime you want. If you want support, click a button and listen to it like radio. Stop listening when it's not helpful. And I'll see you for one more live visit next week. And maybe just get a hands up. You can put a literal hand up or a button hand up. And just wanted to know if you would be interested in continuing to either continue as what I probably will call embryonic meditation, not breathing, to widen the field. If you would be interested in that, or in the other thing I've been waiting to teach is more of a masterclass on yield, push, reach, pull. So, which is very beautiful also. So who's interested in possibly continuing with embryonic meditation? 1, 2, 3. And little boys. Yes. And who would be interested in studying more foundational master classes on body mind centering? Yeah. Okay, that's clear. Thank you. Have a great week, and bye. Again, send me a message if anything happens that's connected to this. I love knowing these things. Do not hesitate.